I'll talk to Eldar with anyone. You know what I mean? I love Eldar and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
everyone hates
also,
Eldar at the moment, so
I know, right? Yeah. Oh, we're not the big bad guys anymore. Necrons are those. You know, because I'm one of those players where I've just always played Eldar. Like I absolutely love them. I
yes,
used them the whole way through nine, but do you know what I mean? Like you come up to the in a tournament and someone goes, "Oh, brilliant, you're playing Eldar," and I'm like, "Yeah," I was like, "No, mate, yeah, I get it, but I've always played them, you know," and they're
yeah,
like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, that's what they all say," and I'm like, "No, seriously."
yeah. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. It's but that's one of the reasons I wanted to, I think, talk to you this evening. Now, first of all, in case anyone doesn't know, in watching my 30 people who watch this video, you, Dan, have been a Glasshammer hero for a long time. You've been on that channel for years now. From my knowledge, my experience of following the game and following that channel, you've always kind of been a face there that's showing off the presence of Eldar. I think one of the first times I was learning about Eldar was watching one of your lists, and you did one of my favourite things. This wasn't even that
Oh,
long
wicked.
ago, where you did a save on a walker, and you chose to go for the opposite save to ensure it would die to then stop Manny getting points. I was like, that is so
Yes.
clever, so clever.
Yeah.
Like little things like that really like I wanted to learn. So from then I subscribed instantly, and just wanted to continue learning. And then you've been on the scene for, as I mean, you're going to have much more knowledge of what you've done than me, but from my view, you've been on the scene for a very long time. Manny's kind of taken this top spot as the name from Glasshammer, because of his prowess in the game and his abilities. And it does seem that sometimes when there are tournaments on, you haven't always been at the same ones he's been at. And then this last weekend, Northampton, your list, and well, not just the list, because it's your general skills and your management of that army was phenomenal, and you ended up in that final facing off against your own
Yeah.
teammate, which
Yeah, no, yeah.
which
Don't
must
get
be
me wrong.
horrible
So
as
like,
well.
do you know what? No, it was class. You know, we had such a good laugh, and like the whole thing with like Manny normally being there. So like I met Manny because we both played on Team England together. So we were both like I used to really enjoy going to tournaments and playing really competitively
Yeah,
and stuff like that. And then we Glasshammer started as me and Manny writing lists for people. That's how it started. We did like a list writing service, and then
yeah,
when it eventually turned into a shop, we I sat down with him and I was like, well, look, one of us has to keep going out to tournaments and pushing the name, and one of us has to stay here and run the shop and build the business and stuff like that. And I was like, well, I've got a wife and two kids, and you live at home with your parents,
yeah.
so I'm pretty sure I know who's pulling the short straw here. So
So
yeah,
the
that's kind
shop
of
came later. Then I assumed the shop was an earlier creation that then everything followed from.
the shop is a buy. Like I said, we started doing the list writing service. So, and what I would say to people is like, right, this is what you do. This is how you kind of deploy. This is what secondaries you want to take. Um, and these are the models that you need to buy because they would send us a list of what models they have,
Nice,
and then
nice.
and they would go, oh, okay then. And then I was like, I keep saying to people, like, go and buy these models. Wouldn't it be great if I went, oh, and here's the amount of money it would cost for you to buy the models off
Yeah,
us. So that's why we kind of got the little shop going, and I got an account, and it just grew and grew and grew, and then eventually we started running big tournaments. So we bought the glass house just to run tournaments in, and and it just just grew and grew from there, and now it's
brilliant.
this it's this play. It's absolutely rammed full of card players and all that. Like there's a bar in there. There's
Yeah, yeah.
D&D. It's all going up in there,
And
So
then this
it's
year you're
cool.
doing your own. Well, I know I think Manny was talking to the BCG guys about you've done previous big tournaments, but this year there's a really big tournament you guys are
Yes, yeah.
taking on.
So pre-COVID, we started to run these big tournaments. We ran like 120 man at a kind of a local university and stuff like that, and it was going really well. And then kind of COVID hit,
Yeah,
and we put all the stuff away, and since then we've just been running around with Glasshammer so much, doing like the streaming and building the shop and doing all this. It's just we've never really got a chance to get back to doing it.
yeah.
So yeah, we sat down at Christmas and we were like, right, let's get back into it. We've got all this equipment. We know what we're doing. We know how to
You're
run
in
it. So
terrain now as well. Like, yeah,
it's, yes, yeah, yeah. I was like, there's no better people to start, kind of uh, doing big tournaments alongside the UKTC, because I was like, we've got loads of the equipment already. We've got our own tournament terrain, like we've got Glasshammer to back us. Like no one is in a better position, so let's just do it, man. Let's go for it.
that's brilliant. Yeah, it's so exciting. That's coming
Yeah.
up really soon. I'm doing a bit of wangling to see if I can get myself there as well. So
Oh yeah, definitely, man. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
kids,
It's
it's
gonna be such
kids.
a good laugh. Like, oh man, I know the feeling. Like, well, I mean, like, I've been kind of like, I go to tournaments every now and then just because I
Yeah,
enjoy it, but never really taking anything massively competitive. And as anyone knows who's played me, I'm very much into Warhammer for the beer and the dice and the just having a laugh. That's kind of
nice.
that's what I've always been into and stuff like that.
So that's why you play Eldar. I
Um,
mean, surely that's
yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Like that. That before they were always kind of teetering around, like
yeah,
they were never top dog, were they? They were always like third, fourth, fifth in the meta, and then and like ninth edition, I had so much fun last edition with them because like no one kind of expected them to be crazy, but
yeah,
I always like to run the little like the MSU Trixie kind of lists, and ninth edition was great for it, man. I had like one unit of Banshees, one Scorpions, like a couple of units of Hawks and stuff like that running
nice.
around, and it was so powerful when you hit people right, and it was great. But then we moved into this edition, and it was just all Wraith Guard. Do you know what I mean? Like all Wraith Guard, and I used that the Wraith Guard for one tournament. It was we went to a team tournament in Stafford, and Manny was like, right, yeah, we want to go and we want to do well, so you're taking 20 Wraith Guard.
Nice.
And I was like, all right, okay, yeah, fine. And I took it. And don't get me wrong, I've won every game, but it was just mind-numbingly boring, just sitting there with these stupid big blocks of raids that nobody could
It's
kill.
it's the
And if anyone
phantasm of the
tried, they'd
I'm
shoot them
moving
back.
them up, I'm moving them back, I'm moving them
Yeah,
up.
it was awful. I took a box of mango cider with me, and I got through the whole lot just just trying to entertain myself because I was so bored with what I was moving
Yeah,
around with
yeah.
on the table. And I was like, this is so boring. I'm never playing this ever again.
Is that
So
the inspiration then behind this MSU mad? Like, yeah, we can go through your army list properly, but before,
yeah, yeah. Well, no, no. So yeah, like kind of before the nerf, I was trying out like a unit of 10 Scorpions with Karandras is a sick unit, like really, really
yeah,
good, and like Void Weavers and War Walkers, and I had all these kind of cool little units going on, and it was really good. But the problem is that couldn't play into the old Eldar list, the
yeah,
the Incarn and the three Night Spinners and the Wraith Guard. I had options into it, but if all they had to do was like spike on the dice once, and then they go, oh yeah, okay, then I've accidentally killed that unit of 5 Orc Spiders that you've got, and
yeah,
now my Incarn will turn up, and now this will like it'll run into the 2 Void Weavers that you've got, and oh they're dead now as well, and it only took one dice spike for my whole army to fall apart.
yeah.
So it couldn't. I got through a couple of times. I was starting to, oh, okay, I'm doing all right. I'm like 3-0, and then I'd hit that Eldar list, that was just everywhere on the top tables, and it just destroyed me every time. No matter how much hope I had that I could beat it, it just killed me every
Yeah.
time.
So that is before we jump into the actual list. Is that something you now potentially fear with Imperial Guard having the still kind of very good line of sight, arguably?
Mm. Yeah, so I haven't tested against the Imperial Guard list yet. I've looked into it and stuff like that, and I've got a game plan. I think of what I would do.
You don't have to
However,
give it away, by the way. That's not.
whether oh, no, I don't mind it. So I mean, don't get me wrong. As I say, game plan. The big part of that game plan is go first. Right, the moment right that doesn't happen, I'm just going to the
Yeah.
bar. But no, I think what you kind of have to do is kind of I want to put, I'm thinking the D cannons and the scourges. D cannons in strategic reserve and the scourges in deep strike,
Hmm.
and then push the. So there's always that one big L, right? In any kind of
Yeah,
terrain map, there's a big L, and that's where the manticores are going to be, and the kind of the decent analyzer side stuff. So just push that one flank, push whatever flank that is on. Uh, Hope to survive their first turn, and then bring on the D cannons onto that flank
and then you can
to
shooting
try
into
and
that.
hit that out of line of
Nice.
sight stuff. I think that by the looks of it, to me on paper, once that is gone, I think that list falls apart pretty quickly.
Yeah, and it's
But
still and it's
yeah,
very expensive. It's back to the night
yeah. What
speeders
are they like?
prices as well.
180,
Yeah,
points for like manticores and
yeah,
stuff like that, right?
exactly.
So basilisks. So.
So yeah, what was in your list then? If that'd be cool, Dan.
Yeah. So the list that I ended up taking was a Spirit Seer, and he goes in a blob of 10 Wraith Blades,
Yeah,
which I thought was the coolest part of the list. Like, I love Wraith. I love Wraith Blades. They're so cool. Even though their rules suck a bit, they're all with all their abilities, but yeah. I had your Rain because you have to take your Rain as a tax.
yes.
There's nothing else.
And she was
So yeah,
supported
you
by
have
a
to take
block
it.
of 6 Harlequin troops.
Yeah, so I put her with him with 6 Harlequins, and that little unit is awesome. Like it's
Really?
class. Like right. People underestimate it so much, right?
See,
But
whenever I know we're going to jump around this a little bit, but whenever I saw the list and the Wraith card and the Spirit Seer, totally get bring back one to life. My guess is, and obviously you can cover it more, was that you were jumping them to hold the middle objective or as a thing to take something out. Then, but Yrain, I kept thinking, do you see her as a tax or just leave her on her own, or
so yeah, when I was originally writing it, yes, I was like, oh, such a tax man. I can't believe I'm going to take her. I was like, I can't believe I can't take Fugan because I'm taking
yeah,
this
yeah,
bitch with a cat,
yeah.
right? And
Especially he
but
wasn't nerfed at all, which I do
oh
not
no,
get.
right?
I
Oh,
love my
Fugan is an
vegan.
auto take,
I don't know
right?
why he
Yeah,
got left behind.
oh, it's just ridiculous that he got left on his own. But and everyone keeps saying, I can't believe you not got Fugan, and I'm like, I can't.
Yeah,
The only reason I don't have him is because I can't. I'm not allowed. So yeah, you're not allowed to take Phoenix Lords or anything. But yeah, right. So you put your Rain in a unit of 6 troop, and then she gives them a 5 of Vilna Pain, and she brings D3 of them back on a 2+ in the command phase.
nice.
So it's like it's a great, like, in these kind of Eldar typically do struggle in the hold score 5, 10, 15 missions.
Yes.
So they're great at that. So you just sit one Harlequin on that mission in the middle, and then if they shoot it, you take the Harlequin off, and then in the command phase on a 2+, you just res them back onto the objective to get you 15 points.
Oh right. Okay, so you
Yeah,
were keeping.
so
So they were kind of like a hidden block that would just
yeah,
revive and just come
that would
back
just
to.
res onto there, right? And then but like Yvraine herself, right? When you start using her, is so badass. Like she's got an attack that does it's D6 + 3 shots, but it's anti-infantry 2+ with dev wounds.
Yeah.
So
Oh
she just
right.
walks around. She just walks around and goes 6 mortal wounds to you, 6 mortal wounds to you, 6 mortal wounds. Like she just
I
goes
didn't
around
clock the
dishing.
anti-infantry bit. That's nice.
Oh yeah, man, she killed so much. Right, she's class for that. Do you know what she's great at? Beating the crap out of Fugan because she just walks over and goes 6 mortal wounds. Oh, you only passed one feel no pain. Oh, sorry,
That's.
mate. Yeah, she's
Oh,
she's
great
wicked for
addition.
that.
Yeah, I kept wondering
Yeah,
what the troops were for because in my head, like, troops are kind of, if ever I've used them, because ninth Harlequins was my game, and I liked having 9 boats and all the little things. So at the moment, they're kind of fallen out of favour for me. So yeah, I guess having that as you said, just taking that objective rather than using them as
oh yeah,
the melee
aggressively.
powerhouse things.
Oh, aggressively, like damage, they do nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. However, they are so tough to get rid of. So put it this way, right? I had someone. I was playing it when I was testing the list out, and I went to an RTT. Someone charged into that unit with Angron, and they were like, "Oh, because I've got assassinate," and I was like, you don't kill them, right? You shouldn't even come close to killing them." And he was like, "What?" So he's like, "I've got like 19 attacks," and I was like, "Yeah, okay, cool." So I was like, "I'll make you -1 to hit." So you should get about 12 hits because it doesn't get any rerolls.
Yeah.
So you get like 12 hits. Wounded on 2s, so you've got 10 wounds. So I fail half of them. So you've killed 5 Harlequins.
And you're still going.
Like, and I'll use a fate dice, so you kill 4 Harlequins. And he's like, "Oh my god, I can't!" He's like, "I can't believe I didn't run into that little elf unit, and a Primarch didn't kill him."
And that I suppose the one extra Harlequin does make that difference. Then that's the 75 to the 90.
Yeah, there were so many times it got down to the 1 Harlequin, and obviously she can't res them if they're not there. So I do feel it's important to have the 6 because it will always come down to that 1 dice, But yeah, and it's the 4 up invuln with the 5 up feel no pain.
Yeah.
The fact that you can CP reroll a save, you can use a fate dice for an invuln as well. There's very, very little that actually clears through that squad.
Wow.
Especially when you're hiding and you're just showing the 1. You go, if you think you can survive, leave him there. If you don't, go, all right, then he's gone.
Yeah.
And then I'll just res back onto the objective anyway. So
that's why I was so intrigued by this list, because there's so many little techie things in there that just stuck out as like, why is that choice made? Why is that? I love this. So thank you so much for this. Yeah,
it's a class little unit, man. It's a really, really cool little unit. I really enjoyed using it.
That's brilliant. And then so we had the Wraith card, and then you had, was it one?
Oh yeah, so then
Mandrakes?
One block of Mandrakes, and the only reason that they're in there is because they've got infiltrate, and you need to have a unit that infiltrates in case you play World Eaters.
So they would purely to block up the front line.
Yeah, they stand in front of a World Eaters army and stop you getting table turn 1. That's the only reason they're there. And it's cool that they've got the rule like Hawks, but it's very rare to get to use it.
So I assume it was those rather than Rangers, purely because then if you didn't come up against World Eaters, you could then make them do the jump around Hawks thing.
They've got a better rule than Rangers, as in their pick up drop down. That is it. Yeah.
Nice. Please carry on.
So then 3 units of Scourges as well, which is just like they're just properly underpointed.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you take 3 units of them for 110 points? And do you know what catches people out the most with them is their range. The 36 inches.
Yeah.
It just takes people by surprise. Everyone has this. They'll have something sat on a back line or something like that, and then all of a sudden these jump 14 inches forward, and you measure 36, and they're like, "Wow!" Like I did not see them getting anywhere.
And actually, you're only getting 4 shots at a time, so the 1 reroll from the Eldar and also the wound roll, almost, I don't know, mathematically, it's almost better than the pain token from just if there were Drukhari.
Oh no, it is. Yeah, it's definitely better, 100%. Yeah. And it's stupid that Eldar Scourges are better than Dark Eldar Scourges, but they are. I know a lot of Dark Eldar players who are mad about that.
And is the range the reason you didn't have? I know there's the Skari Skari in his list often has 2 with Dark Lances and 1 with Haywire. Is it that range that made you want to stick with 3 going with Dark Lances?
Yeah. So Haywire, I'm just not a big fan of it really, because I think with the you're wounding most vehicles on 3s anyway, but then they're also absolutely incredible in case you come across Centurions or Terminators and stuff like that. They're very good into that game as well. Whereas Haywire kind of work, So I just don't know why you would take Haywire, unless you had a squad modelled with Haywire and you just thought, screw it, I want to put him on the board. I honestly cannot think of another reason why you would want to do it.
I mean, personally, and I think most people probably do, fully magnetized, because you just.
So
I literally got.
Yeah.
I picked up another. I got another 3 today. They've just been drilling, so can't even see it.
Man,
3 new dark glasses.
Oh, I'll tell you, I am famously absolutely terrible at anything hobby and anything painting. So my Scourges have whatever gun I could find, right, in their hands with the end snipped off and a load of bright lances glued onto the end of the gun.
It works.
So like, you know what they are. So.
Yeah, I guess that's the truth. As long as at the beginning you said that these are dark lances, there's no confusion there. Yeah, so
they cannot take bright lances, so they're definitely not bright lances.
Yeah. Perfect.
So then we got 3 of them, and then because the whole theme of the army is the shoot and scoot, So then I put three Shadow Spectres in there as well. I put three Shadow Spectres in, even though traditionally I've hated them and I don't think they're very good.
Oh,
And I still
really?
think, oh yeah, I think I just don't think they're not a unit that works in any situation
But they're still
really.
so cheap as well. At 95 points on this, like.
Yeah, but I'm struggling to find a way that they will ever trade up. So what I use them for mostly, right? They come out, they kill a couple of things,
Yeah.
maybe if you roll well. But the great thing about them is for like mission scoring and stuff like that is because they move out 12 and then they move
Oh,
another
right.
6. So like if I needed to say I played Lewis with his demons on the weekend, and they were just awesome because he kept trying to move his cavalry guys forward
Mm-hmm.
and Be'lakor and that lot, and I was like, cool. So these guys will move out 12, and then I was like, do you want to Overwatch and flame them? And he was like, well, no, not really, because there's other things in your army that I want to do that with. And I was like, cool. So they're going to shoot your flamers because they're flat 3 damage, and then they're going to move 6 and stand in front of your cavalry line. That's all they're going to do. And it was yeah. So because so the reason why I don't think they'll ever do anything is because they're strength 6, -2, flat 3. So
Yeah.
because they're flat 3, you're like, okay, I would like to fire them into vehicles, but you're wounding any vehicle or monster on a 5+.
Yeah.
So with your 5, maybe 4 hits, you should get 1 wound, maybe 2, and then they're only -2 AP. So any monster or vehicle now we know how cover works is
Yeah.
going to get a cover save, so then -1. So the chances are they're doing absolutely nothing to those. So then you go, well, okay, they go and hunt elite infantry, kind of say. The elite infantry that instantly comes to mind is Terminators,
And
but they're only -2.
and they've got invans and yeah.
So you move them out, and you're like, okay, they're -1. They go, okay, I'll Armor of Contempt. I've got a 2-up save. So they'll never do anything.
That's
I
so
just
interesting
don't.
that you're essentially using them as button pushers. Like I never would have put them down in that
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I can move them out. Like, so say there's a ruin in the middle of the board that is someone is clearly going to stage into.
Yeah.
Um, with their move 12, shoot, and then move 6, it means that I can get them either to just stand in front of that ruin
As another
or
blockade.
stage themselves in another ruin so I can get round that ruin next turn.
Nice.
You know what I mean? So
See, that's
it's,
really
it's
smart.
their
Yeah.
it's their movement that's nice, not their weapon profile. I think's crap.
See,
But
I mean,
it's their
that's
movement that's really nice.
Yeah, that is expertise talking because I look at that profile and think, oh, the 3 damage flat. That's what we
Yeah,
want all of that.
yeah.
Like,
I think I did to start off with, but it's another thing that's quite cool is now there's no longer a rule where you can't move when you deep strike. So it's always nice if you want to get into an area or get onto an objective that someone's blocking to kind of like drop down, shoot, and then move.
yeah, as long as you're still the 9
Right, yeah.
inches, you're good to do as you wish.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And do you know what? They're also, and I've only ever managed to do it once, but there's an amazing trick that you can do with them, right? So what people will do is they'll sit a tank or something on an objective, kind of in their home field or whatever.
Yeah.
So you go, right, okay, then. So I'll move out 12. I'll shoot this thing over there. So then I'll move 6 forward, and then I'll fire and fade another 12 over here. So you go, I've
Oh,
just moved
right.
30 inches. And I've got OC5 on your home objective, and you've only got a tank on there that's OC3. And
Wow, I
like,
didn't think you could do that. So
ah,
so you can shoot,
yeah.
you can shoot, do the move, and then you're
And
doing
then
the
fire
move
and fade,
afterwards.
yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's
Yeah.
That's really nice.
I've only caught like a couple of people out with it, but it's cool when it happens.
That's a great one.
So their movement's cool.
Mhm.
Other than that, they're rubbish.
Nice. And then other bits from this I remember was you had one block of warp spiders.
One little 5-man unit of warp spiders for tempting target, isn't it? Really, that's the main thing. There's so many times I can't get a tempting target, so they're there for that, or behind, or do an action somewhere, or something like that.
Okay.
A unit of 5, the punch isn't big enough to reliably do anything. I love the unit of 10 warp spiders. That's a clash unit. I've used it a few times, but yeah, 5's just scoring for me. And then was there anything else there? 2 units of Hawks.
2 Hawks.
Because
Yeah.
Hawks are sick. Like one of my favorite units in the book. Yeah, I love them. Because they score so many points, and against again like the World Eaters, they always do this thing. Everyone puts 10 jackals on their home objective, and then just
Yeah.
buggers off and runs at you. and you go, cool, these two unit hawks will come up, drop down, and your unit of jackals is dead. And they go, oh, I'll make it sticky. And you go, oh, okay, then I'll just bar and fade and move 14 inches and stack on that objective then. And they go, oh.
See, that's an interesting one because I talked a lot recently, but my most recent game has been with Drukhari to try out the new detachment and see how that runs.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I was curious. I suppose the choices between the Mandrake and the Swooping Hawk, because you're losing 10 points, but they're not as good at shooting everything else. Do you think that 10 points is a worth it kind of investment? Then?
Oh yeah. Oh, well, so yeah, you've got the movement, the 14-inch movement. Then the pick up and drop down thing, and then also as well, the shooting's good because they've got the lethal hits.
Oh,
so
yes,
especially nice against like your Catans and all that kind of stuff that you're starting to see in the meta at the moment. And your units of jackals, your little units of cultists that people are losing everywhere. And then just worth 10 points on his own is the fact they've got the grenades keyword, so they can use the grenade strat. That's worth 10 points of anybody's money.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yes.
Yeah,
see, that's the little things. The little things that just get missed. I'm missing apologies. So yeah, that's the nice
the amount of 8-bound that I've killed with grenades from Hawk. It's comical.
Oh, that's awesome. Love that. So we've done the Warp Spiders. Then I remember there was Shroud Runners. How are they? Whenever I've seen Shroud Runners being used before, I've got tons of Wind Riders. Haven't really tried Shroud myself. The 12-inch range always seemed to be a kind of, they die very quickly. Were they used as a focus, like to take down the big threat, and then you just accept they're going to go, or did you generally actually be able to kind of keep them alive?
No, yeah. So the reason why I originally put them in the list is because I've lost the Autarch and I only get 1 CP a turn now. If I go first, I can't score things like deploy in my opponent's half or
so
behind enemy lines.
Moving forward.
So it was that Scout 9, move 14, and they've got the advanced shuriken pistols like everyone's got. So they can advance and still get deployed behind.
Yeah.
Anything like that. But also as well, the added bonus was that again, Catans are just everywhere now. So the Shroud Runners can go up. I had a practice game into Necrons. And they just drive up next to them, score some points in whatever you draw, and then they go lethal hits against this, and then the Shadow Spectres, instead of firing the flat 3 damage, just start using the blast profile, just to keep rolling dice and making them take as many saves as possible.
Nice.
And that's kind of what it was for, really.
That's a great tech piece. Love that. Yeah.
I
was kind of confused because I thought, if they just died straight away, is that kind of worth it? Is it? Because I mean, I've been looking at whether it's worth. I said I've been playing with the list to try and make my own flavors with it. Like whether it's worth going for a Beastmaster to try and get the tempting target thing instead, to sear it against that Catan. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. The Catan thing's nice because the Wraith Blades are kind of my answers to Catans as well. In that Catans will just never kill them. Like nothing can kill a unit of 10 Wraith Blades really. It was a nice way to just kind of take a huge chunk out of a Catan, and then that was nice. But it was primarily for the make sure I can be scoring cards turn 1.
Absolutely.
I think with Eldar, they do struggle with the primary versus a lot of things.
Yes.
So you have to be maxing your secondaries every single game. That you've got to max them. So the Shroud Runners kind of make sure that happens.
Nice, that's cool. And I guess in that sense, you were taking tactical every turn, even for like the CP draw build up as well.
Yes, yeah, massively so. Like the list that I used to play, I would just take pretty religiously behind enemy lines and deploy, because the Hawks just go, yeah, okay, I'll move over here, and with the 2 CP from the Autarch, I'll move again, and this one unit's going to score me 7 points every turn, and there's nothing you can do about it. It was quite cool. But I have to admit, as soon as when I wrote this list, I was like, well, I've got to put a bit more hitting power in it. So I haven't got as many kind of throwaway units, and I haven't got the CP, so I've got to play tactical. And I forgot just how much fun tactical was. Like it just makes the game so much more interesting and fun. And like I said, I always religiously, because from seventh edition when I was playing that, and you used to have these maelstrom cards, and I hated them because of the way that, there's always something, you'd hear people marking the cards, people rigging the cards whenever you go to the
Yeah,
toilet, and there's a way as well where you can put the cards together, and if you shuffle a deck of cards, the cards that are together, it doesn't shuffle it doesn't shuffle as well as you would think it would.
yeah.
These cards stay together. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the cards will stay together, and I just hated cards from seventh edition. So whenever I play, I always play with a deck, and I always at the start of my turn I will shuffle my cards and I will spread them out, and I will say to my opponent, "You pick them. You pick my cards. You seal your own fate. If they're really good, it's your fault." And then
That's a nice idea. That's a nice idea.
so there's nothing to do with me. If I score 10 points for the first two turns, it's down to you.
I really like that idea. That's nice. Perfect. And then the last one I think on the list, I may have missed something, so apologies, was the 3 support weapons, which
Oh yeah.
weirdly, when we had when Eldar had the option of night spinners, support weapons often were kind of looked down on as the 125 points is too much. But I mean,
Yeah.
when the edition was first announced, I've heard of people that picked up 9 because there was
9, yeah.
there was the rumor that you could have that many, and suddenly you couldn't. um, what made you
Ain't
think
karma
about?
a bitch?
Yeah. What made you think about bringing support weapons at 125 points each?
So yeah, the D cannon. So when I originally started writing lists, when the data slate dropped, I was messing around. I wanted to I knew primaries was going to be an issue, so I started taking the avatar. And I was playing around with him for a bit. But the problem is with him only being OC3, he can't hold an objective. He's great and he's big and he's scary until 4 cultists go and stand in front of him, and then that's it. Then he doesn't do anything. So then I started switching it around again, and I was like, Wraith Blades could do it well. Like I don't need them to shoot. I don't want even to even have that temptation to move out and shoot something. So I was like, Wraith Blades with the 4 Bimbun swings the kind of the odds of them dying, because there are quite a few things that can kill that T7 3-wound body now, because people are geared up for it.
Yeah.
So I
switched
into Wraith
4+
Blades.
invulnerable with the shields.
Yeah, and it swings whatever can kill them massively. Like they're basic. I don't think anything in the game kills them really, apart from maybe something weird. But even then, with Phantasm, you can stop it so much.
Yeah, to interrupt you on that one, apologies. But so then, were you essentially moving them a bit like previous Wraithguard would be, like towards that middle objective, and were you sitting on it with a form of cover in some sense, or was it a case of jumping in and out the nearest terrain you had?
Yeah, no. So they would start. There's always kind of an objective that's nearest you in no man's land. They would start near there, and then turn 1, I would go, I'll use this 5 on my fate dice, mate, and they're going straight onto the. Because I've got no fast here, so I can't go. This is a 6.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm like, I'll use this 5. They're all on that objective, and they'd probably just stay there most of the game.
Nice.
Because I'm like, if I can score 10 primaries a turn, and I can max my secondaries, I've probably won.
Yeah.
That's kind of the game plan, really. I've got Yvraine and the Harlequins messing around, maybe score me a few more primaries,
taking a second
maybe take some primaries down. Yeah, they're kind of slowing people down. But I put the D cannons in to go, right, if you want to come and take my primary that the Wraithguard are on, you've got to run through a hail of this D cannon fire first. That was the idea of me putting it in there. And then I had a couple of practice games, and I was like, man, these 3 are absolutely incredible. Why have I not been taking D cannons like all the time? They're really good, man.
Nice.
Really scary. And so I only put them in to protect the Wraith Blades on my primary, and then it turned out that they would just devastate anything that came anywhere near anybody. And I was like, the amount I was just apologising so much over the weekend because they just sit out of line of sight, and I'm just massacring these huge things in front of me, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, mate. I'm so sorry. Right, I cannot roll dice to save my life. Right, that's why I just love the fate dice and all that kind of
Yeah, yeah.
mechanic because it gets me out of that hole. But I can roll 3 shots on a D cannon every turn.
Nice.
Every D cannon, every turn. I'm like 3 shots. I might miss all 3 of them, but I'll get 3 shots.
That's lovely. That's a brilliant idea. Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah. So
Um,
yeah. So that's kind of how it evolved, right? That's where the list came from.
Perfect. I think yeah. Honestly, it was a. I think I'm really drawn to lists that are kind of a bit of a breath of fresh air. Something on there, and my interviews have been very sporadic, but they've always been with people who run lists a little bit weirdly. And so yeah, I really appreciate
No,
just
yeah,
seeing it.
I'm the
Honestly,
same.
it was so fun. I was whole weekend I was glued to BCP. What's Dan doing? He's done it. He's through. How is he still going? What's he doing? What's
I know,
happening?
man. So,
And then suddenly it like came to that top 4, and it was like, Dan's there. What's going on? Dan's here.
right, as weird as it is, right? Because, like I said, I go there and I'm very much in Warhammer for the drinking and all that lot. And
Yeah,
it
yeah.
got to round 5, and I was like, oh my god! So I would never ever expect to make the top cut, right? So
To make
I
a
took
caveat
these.
piece really hit, I just want to make this really clear. It wasn't a case of you. It was because of the army list seemed like Vic's army
Oh
was much more
no!
traditional Eldar, how I'd imagine it was going to be, that would take the top. So when your list was there, again, just make a real caveat here. It was not on you. It was because the list was so interesting. Like it was very different.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I know
just to
you
be
have to
clear.
say that, but we all know,
No,
right?
no,
So
seriously.
I've got these score pads, right, that I take with me, right, and it's covered in Glasshammer and all that, lot. And I
Oh,
am
the ones
all
that are
about the
coming, the
merch.
first 100 people at the tournament are getting those ones, aren't they?
Oh no,
Yeah.
everyone's getting those. Everyone's
Oh,
getting
cool.
those.
Okay,
So I
cool.
took them with me. I took 5 of them with me, and I was giving them out to people, right? And I didn't think about even keeping one back because I never thought I would make the top cut. So I got into my game with Vic, and I was like, "Mate, I've given out all my score pads and all my pens, so you're gonna have to keep score for the game because I never expected to be here."
That's brilliant. Yeah. How was that? Like with the it's not even, it wasn't a mirror. It really wasn't, because it was so
Mm.
it's
Oh
two
yeah,
totally
yeah.
different armies.
So like Vic, I've known Vic for years, and like it was a great game, and I was very kind of deep into the beers with that as well. Like I said, I said to Vic, yeah, you can keep score, mate, and I didn't even look at the score until the end, and so we set up, and I was like, well, I definitely want to go second because it was the mission favoured the person who went second massively. And then we rolled Vic rolled a 5, and I was like, "Oh, brilliant!" All right, then. And then I rolled a 6, and I was like, "Ah!"
The one time you
I
don't
was
want
so close.
it.
So then, I think because of that, because I knew I was kind of behind mission wise anyway, I just had to play aggro. So turn 1, I had my mandrakes charging a unit of his hawks and they killed like they killed like one hawk, but I tagged the D cannon with it, and then
Nice.
my shadows, sorry, the bikes, shroud runners, they went up, shot into a unit of warp spiders, killed like 3 warp spiders, and then charged them to tag the wave serpent and the warp spiders and everything else. So I was like, all I've got to do is keep you back. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna get 15 primary at the end, so I've got to make you score like 5 primary twice, which is basically impossible. But I was like, it's the only thing I can do. It's the only way I can try and win this
Yeah,
game is
yeah.
to play like complete aggro. So,
And obviously it happened.
yeah, like don't get me wrong, I mean, some bonkers things that's happening in that game, like which was quite cool. Like Vic shot quite well into the. Oh, I had an opportunity, just to win so quickly. So I moved my Wraith Blades up and I stood them side by side in this ruin, like in 2 rows,
Yeah.
to give myself options for the Phantasm.
Yeah, because now
And
it's only the
then
D6 option, so you want to really
yeah,
be
and
careful on
that's
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I lined them in a perfect line, and I was like 2 bases thick. It's 4 inches, and I was kind of expecting Vic to see that, and he was like, oh, this huge unit of Wraith Blades is running towards me, so I've got to sort that out. So he overcommitted, really, I think, with his Fire Dragons and Fugan. They all come out the Wave Serpent and all stood there. And then he was like, right, okay, then Dan, yeah, if you want a phantasm. I was like, so if I roll a 4 on these Wraith Blades, none of the fire dragons or Fugan can shoot me. And he was like, oh,
Wait,
oh yeah, oh yeah.
why can't they? Sorry, I missed that.
So he brought them all out. Like he brought all of the fire dragons out.
Yeah.
Fugan, and I kind of expected them to come in waves to try and chip me off with the D
I
cannon.
see.
But he brought them all out and stood them on the side of this ruin, and I was like, so yeah, if I move to the other side of this ruin, no fire dragons are killing me. And then next turn, I'm going to kill all your fire dragons and that D cannon, and I'm going to kill Fugan twice.
Nice.
And he was like, oh yeah, that's pretty massive, Dad. Yeah, that's pretty big. And I was like, don't worry. I was like, if it's important, there's no way I'm going to roll this 4 up. And I rolled a 2. So I rolled a 2 and then proceeded to fail every single 4 up input on that unit.
Oh.
So he got me down to, I think I had 2 or 3 Wraith Blades left at the end of like round 1. And I was like, oh man, this is going to be difficult going back. But then, like the Shadow Spectres picked up all his fire dragons. And then Yvrain steps out from behind the wall and goes, yeah, Fugan, you're dead. And it was a great game the whole way through.
Yeah,
there was this amazing thing that happened with his Autarch. He moved his Autarch onto the middle objective, and I'd staged my warp spiders in because I was like, you have to move something in there, and you can't fit a tank in there, so it's going to be something T3 and squishy. So I put my warp spiders in this ruin that was like dead on 24 inches away. So I was like, whatever goes in there is getting warp spiders. And he moved his Autarch in there. So I was like, okay, yeah, he's got the gem. I'll take the trade. So they went over there, killed his Autarch, and then his Autarch got back up. And then in his turn, he shot them, only killed like 1. And then his Autarch charged into him. And I was like, okay, then yeah, that probably killed him. And he only killed like 2.
Really?
And then my Exarch took 3 wounds off him. And I was like, "Got a spider left." I was like, mate. I was to the warp spider. I was like, mate, if you kill this Autarch, I will glue 2 extra arms onto you, and I will make you an Exarch. And he got 2 hits, 2 wounds, and Vic failed both of his 6. I was like, oh man, I got to glue 2 arms onto this guy.
You're stuck now. Yeah.
So I promised him now.
That's brilliant. Oh, what a fun game!
Yeah. It was like I said, it was a laugh up to the end. Vic's a gent, man. I love Vic. I've always got on with him.
I've been fortunate enough that I got to meet him at Nottingham last year, and same thing. It was just really just wanted to talk about how the games were going and stuff. It was just really nice guy. So yeah, that's brilliant. And then, apologies. So then you went on and into your teammate Manny.
Oh yes, yeah.
I suppose the first thing, before that even happened, I guess in a way, are you just knackered? I mean, not to sound silly, but I'm not gonna get to anywhere near that stage for a very long time. I've played the occasional weekend. Generally with the family, I go to 1-day events now because it's signed off and then good. But you must be so tired by that point.
No, do you know what? No, because we've done it for so long. Even though I am not small, but I'm like 18 stone, and my little feet should be worn down and everything like that. But we've done it. We've stood there all day playing games so many times. Like you don't even really think about it anymore.
Was it a bit more chilled, the fact it was Manny, or was it were you both like, what, we're friends, but it's for the win. We're gonna.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. I point against anybody ever. So I was in the I was in my round 5. The Tyranid player. He was like, oh yeah. He's like, I want to do this. He's like, oh, I've just forgotten. So he's like, I could have moved this unit over here, and I could have scored this for 5 points instead of 3 points, and then that lets me shoot your Hawk unit, which then potentially gets me behind enemy lines with this. And I was like, oh, do it, man, do it. I was like, well, that's a great plan.
That's really nice for you then, yeah.
And he was like, no. He's like, no. There's no way I can do that, mate. He's like, this is round 5, and I was like, mate, like just stop. You figured it out. You find one unit that has absolutely zero impact in this whole plan, and but I would never play any differently. You know what I mean? Like
that's a Steve Box eat your heart out moment, right? Surely.
and yeah. And he was like, "Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure?" And I was like, "Honestly, I wouldn't."
Awesome.
But you know, it all comes round. You know what I mean? Like I think there was a time later on when I don't know. I might have forgot to bring a unit on from reserve, or there was something I forgot something, and but my opponent remembered, and he was like, "Oh mate," he's like, what you did for me earlier. He's like, "I just want to let you know, you forgot to bring this unit on, or you forgot to move this, or something like that." And I was like, "Oh, like thank you, man. I really appreciate it." Like,
that's awesome.
That's very much the way I played 40k, and it was the same with Vic. You know what I mean? Like there was no. If ever he forgot to do anything or anything like that, I would never clock anyone or like shut someone down or whatever. I would never do that. So and then going into it with Manny. So we'd played one practice game before, and it's a very very close game. However,
really?
in the
See, in my head, Custodians at the moment are top dogs. I know we were saying earlier, Necrons, like Custodians terrify me.
So yeah, I mean, Custodians are good, but they do struggle with the secondaries. Like they're not that mobile, so they won't score as many secondaries as the Eldar. However, they are bullies on the primary because they're unkillable and they've got so much OC.
And
so
first and everything else.
Yeah. So all you're doing is you're body blocking and you're slowing them down and you're plinking stuff away here and there. But the thing is that they'll get more primaries than you will, but you'll get more secondaries. But the primaries are just worth more.
Yeah.
So it's always going to be that kind of like 90-80 game, or 85-70-80. So it was. So I kind of knew that going into it, but the mission favoured me because it was the primaries where you could only score 10.
Yes.
So I was like, right, if I can just score 10 as much as possible in this game, and then max my secondaries, you can plink you can just plink the win. And Manny kind of realised that at the end of turn 2, and he was like, well, okay, then he's like, so I've now basically got like one turn to drop your primaries, otherwise you win. And I was like, yeah, pretty much, mate. Yeah, that's kind of how I'm seeing it. And he was like, well, I'll just run out with everything and then pass all my saves. And I was like, well, yeah, that is a plan, man. Yeah, because what I was doing is I was moving out with my because he put a unit in reserve, and I was like, he wants to what's it called when they come in and you're at the end of your movement phase. He wants to rapid ingress with them, because he doesn't want to try and make the 9-inch charge, especially because I've got Phantasm. So the moment I roll a 3, he can't charge me at all. So I ran my Wraith Blades out into a unit, to stand that objective, and then every turn I couldn't spend any CPs because all I could do was move my Wraith Blades out 6, and then wait for him to. And I was like, "Do you want a rapid ingress?" And he was like, "Nah, I'm right." And then I would have to fire and fade back into the unit. So I had to waste 2 CP on just stopping him rapid ingressing for those 2 turns. And
that threat then came into a play, yeah.
Yeah, and he was like, "Yeah, he's like, I can't get to that objective unless I just run out because there was just open field around this objective." And then so he ran out, and
he had 3 blade champions. Is that right?
Yeah, he's got 6 bricks basically.
So he can just
6
charge
bricks
and
of
do whatever else.
custody.
Yeah.
But then turn 2 he ran in, and then 3D cannons are shooting at him, and they killed 4 custodians, and he was like,
"Wow,
that's 15% of my army that you just killed, and you can't even see me." And I got a bead on him with some lances that killed another one, and he was like, "Yeah, I've just got to come at you now." So he came out. And he was like, "Oh, I was like, what if?" He was like, "Yeah, I'm going to move this unit there." And I was like, "Well, don't forget, I've got Phantasm. So if I roll half decent on that, you've got a 10-inch charge." And he was like, "Oh yeah, no, it's all right." So I moved them out, and he was like, "You won't roll well on it. Don't worry about it." So he moved them out, and then I rolled a 6 on my Phantasm, and I moved them back, and I was like, "That's like a 10 or 11-inch charge there, with the Wraith Blades, and then they're going to pick up whatever comes out." And then Manny made every single charge and then rolled a 12 to go into the Wraith Blades. And he was like, told you. Yeah. So yeah, like he did that, and then but then everything is out in the open.
Yeah,
So then I'm like, if I can kill 10 custodies here, that's game over straight away. Like, but if I can kill a chunk of them, it's it's a very close game again. And then so we counted, and I made him take 14 4+ invuns,
wow.
and he passed 14 4+ invuns in a row. No, so I mean, he failed one, and then he CP'd it and passed it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's the heads or tails, isn't it? On the 4+, you
right,
can't.
yeah. And I
Yeah,
was like, and he was like, "I'm so sorry, mate. I'm so sorry." And I was like, yeah, but you know what? Like, it is what it is. And
yeah,
I was like, that quite, because it's a 50-50 flip, you could have just failed 14 4+ inruns in a row.
yeah.
Like, you've got the same odds of failing 14 in a row. And, but
I love the 4+. Don't get me wrong. I said played Harlequins. It was always 4+. You just
oh, yeah, yeah. There's,
lived
there's,
and
there's no in
breathed. That
between.
was yeah,
Fail them all or make them all. There's,
yeah.
there's no in between. But like, I've played Manny for years, and we've had so many games and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, the two refs that were there, they were like, I've never seen a final game where both of you are just pissing yourself laughing. And he was like, I've never seen someone smile as get screwed so hard by the dice and just piss themselves laughing. He's like,
Yeah.
I've never seen it like so hard. And I was like, mate, this ain't my first rodeo. Like,
Yeah.
this has happened a lot.
I guess that's the kind of lovely thing, is that having that final you two together, as you said, you play all the time. It's that you have the business together, everything together. It's like a lovely kind of,
Yeah, yeah.
it's just a great final. Is there? Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, it is. At the end of the day, and like I said, I do think some people definitely need to be reminded of it. It's a game of toy soldiers,
Yeah.
No, no one's taking it like, no one's a real professional, are they? And I just think, yeah, it should be a laugh at the end of the day. It always should be.
That's awesome. I'm
So,
so excited to hear about this. Do you have any thoughts on how you make adjustments in the future for it, or what you want to
yes, I
try
have.
out?
Yes, I have. So I've got it. I've just tweaked it slightly, and I'm going to get some practice games in next week. And I want to go to like an RTT or something, try
Yeah.
that. So,
Welcome
like I said,
to, if you ever make it all the way down to Norwich, there's a few going on.
yeah, definitely,
It's
mate.
a
Yeah,
long
I'll
drive, but
as long as there's a bar or something,
Yeah.
that's fine. So there is a little combo, right, that I've been told about that I'm desperate to try out. So again, like coming back to Necrons are top dog. They're the big bad guy.
Yeah.
They're what Eldar were. So that's what you've got to be teching for, really. And although the Shroud Runners and the Wraith Blades can do an all right job slowing them down or taking a chunk out of them, it's not an amazing answer, especially when there's lists out there with 3 or 4 of them in.
Yeah, I heard someone tried. I haven't seen it, but I read on some. I think it was like a Meta Monday thing. Someone had a list with 5, and I don't really get. It just
and it just skews so hard into the you can put that you can put 5 Catans down, and there are just some matchups that you literally cannot lose.
Mm.
You just can't lose it, and it's kind of half the reason why I gave up on my old Eldar list with the War Walkers and the Void Weavers, because it was a sick list. It worked really well. But I could not kill a single Catan. I just couldn't do it. You map it out, and it doesn't even get close, So, yes. So there's a little thing that you can do now in Eldar, right? So you put 5 Harlequins and a Troop Master in a Falcon, and then the Troop Master gives the Harlequins dev wounds.
Yeah.
And then when they get out the Falcon, if the Falcon shoots the Catan, they get full rerolls to wound against it. So they go in.
That's the advantage of having the Fire Dragons were in that, because they were getting those benefits.
Yeah, I mean, and I said this to Vic, and I hate Fire Dragons. I don't see the point of them. They're just so completely pointless. I don't know why you would ever want to use them. I think they're very similar to Shadow Spectres for me.
I think he was having them because. Well, I'm not saying because that's the wrong line, but was it Liam VSL took them to the tournament, and he was running them there, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, there's just things in the book that do it better. They're an anti-tank unit that wound tanks on 5s. And you're like, okay, then they're slightly better at picking Terminators up.
Yeah.
Because they're -4, but they've got a 12-inch range.
That's true. Yes,
and they've got
so
one
they need
shot.
that transport to get them in. Yeah.
So you stand next to the Terminators, and then you go, well, okay, then there's 4 hits, probably 4 wounds.
Yeah.
All right, I've killed 2 of you because you got a 4-up in one, and now my whole unit's dead.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't see the point of them. I just don't get fire dragons at all.
Sorry, yeah.
You put the Harlequins in there.
Yeah.
So then what they do is they run out. Then the Vulcan shoots the Catan, and then you go, right, I'm charging in, and I've got all these attacks, and then I'm +1. They're +1 to wound. Like that's their rule for going in.
Yeah.
And then they've got full rerolls to wound from the Falcon. And then they've got dev wounds. So every 6, they're not even having to take that 4-up in one. That's going straight to the 5, but feel no pain. And then you've got the Troop Master in there as well. So any dice you spend on him turns to a 6, and he's got dev wounds. And then you give him the 15-point thing to turn a dice to a 6 as well. Yeah. So, and that's just going straight through to dev wounds. And it's just...
Are we giving him Fate's Messenger?
You're giving him Fate's Messenger for 15 points. So I've spent... And it turns out, in my list, if you drop two Shadow Spectres, and that gives you the perfect points for a Falcon and a Troop Master to put into...
And then you still have enough points for troops to go with your rain to continue normal...
No. So you make it against Necrons. Your rain isn't really going to do anything.
Oh, okay. So like you're leaving her kind of back a bit.
So you go, yeah, you leave her there because Necrons don't have any out of line of sight shooting.
Mm-hmm.
So you can just kind of run her forward, or you can strategic reserve her if you want and come on, and she'll take a chunk out of an immortal unit. She's pretty much useless in that game anyway. So then you just take her out and put the Troop Master in to the troops, and then you put them in the Falcon. And then you just go, if this Catan comes anywhere near the middle of the board, I'm just going to kill it.
Nice.
So I want to try that unit out. It might be awful. Absolutely terrible. But I've heard about this little gang of Harlequins that goes around Catan hunting, and I really want to try it out. So
no, I think, and yeah, in the sense of what you have created with this list already, and this kind of, I'm in multiple Eldar chats online and like WhatsApp groups and stuff, and like the London chat just lit up with everyone going MSU. Oh yeah, we could do.
Yeah,
everyone's just running ideas.
I just love MSU.
Yeah.
I love MSU, and I love Eldar, and it's always how I've played. But then it just so happens now that and I've always been running it, even when the Wraith Guard and stuff, right? But I couldn't get past that Eldar. But now that list has gone.
Yeah.
And Eldar are at a stage. They're no longer the top of the meta, but now they want to be MSU, which is how I love them. That's how I want my Eldar to be running. So yeah, I'm loving Eldar.
That's great, perfect. Thank you so much, Dan. If you ever do find yourself down by Norwich, I think it's heavy Space Marine territory.
Yeah,
this way. Thank you so much, Dan. I really appreciate your time here.
No, mate, yeah, not a problem at all. Like I said, Matt, I will sit and talk to you about Eldar.
But no, I love your idea of the change. The Harlequins in the Falcon sounds, honestly, if it pulls off, it sounds fun.
Yeah, right. I love the idea of Catan's being afraid to go in the middle of the board. Like, yeah, you just stay away from me. Let me keep scoring my secondaries. You just stay over there. Yeah.